Howie Roseman, take a bow. The Jaelan Phillips trade was all the difference in a massive win over the Green Bay Packers.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. And we thank you so much for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 back in bonus bets to use across the entire app. It's the post-game show. We are recapping a weird yet massive, gritty win for the Philadelphia Eagles at Lambeau Field. 10-7 is the final score over the Green Bay Packers. A rock fight between two elite defenses. A lot of offensive mistakes on both sides of the ball. Playoff atmosphere, though. The Eagles 7-2 now through 9 games. The #1 seed in the NFC. You now have the tiebreaker over the Packers, over the Rams, over the Buccaneers. You play the Lions next week. This team is getting close to really having a stranglehold over that top seed in the conference. And how they got it done today was off the backs of an elite defensive performance. This was the best defensive performance we've seen since Super Bowl 59 from Vic Fangio's unit. And outside of Super Bowl 59, has there been a better performance from this defense over the last 2 years? I mean, I know the Packers were so beat up today at the wide receiver and tight end position, but what they did on the defensive line at linebacker in the secondary tonight was truly unbelievable. And the biggest playmaker of them all was the new guy. It was Jaelan Phillips who makes the game-winning play on 4th and 1, stuffing Josh Jacobs at midfield to keep this a 3-point game. Howie Roseman's trade, getting Jaelan Phillips, got you the win today. 8 pressures for Phillips in his debut with the Birds, 5 defensive stops, a 19.4 pressure rate, 1 fumble recovery in the first half. He created the pressure that led to Jaelan Hunt's sack in the first half, made the game-winning play on 4th down. A couple other big 4th down, I shouldn't say 4th down, but overall run stops in short yardage situations. A couple chase downs as well, getting to Jordan Love. Look, the coaching staff today was unbelievably bad for the Eagles on offense, and even Vic Fangio made some questionable decisions in the second half. But Howie Roseman, his decisions on how to improve this roster willed you to a victory today. I mean, Phillips, the most impressive part about this was this guy just got here, and yet he played the entire game. The footing was off on that turf, on that grass. And yet Phillips came in, played more than pretty much any edge rusher in a now 4-man, 5-man rotation, and completely dominated. This really does kind of give me flashbacks to the Jay Ajayi trade in 2017. Like, I truly believe that Phillips could be that missing piece. I don't want to say that takes you from like a playoff contender to a championship contender, because I think the Eagles could have won a championship with what they had on the edge. But Jay Ajayi took an elite team and filled one maybe questionable hole, and now that position was a strength. It wasn't just something you were winning with. You were winning because of Jay Ajayi down the stretch of 2017 into the playoffs. The edge rusher position this year, I feel like you've been winning with the edge rusher position, but now, like tonight, you won because of the edge rusher position. Jaelan Hunt had a sack in the first half. Nolan Smith had a sack in the second half. He had a great pressure on that final drive as well to hit Jordan Love to force a 3rd and long. Brandon Graham returned to the lineup, made a couple nice plays against the run. The Eagles did not need to blitz today like they usually do. Now they did, and Nakobe Dean was dominant blitzing downhill, made that forced fumble strip sack on the final drive of the first half to keep the Packers scoreless off the board, but they don't need to rely on that anymore. Like today, you got to see what this defense can be like again if they can win with a 4-man rush. What that will do then for the secondary, how you have optionality with your linebackers, how you can use Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell and Nakobe Dean. You saw that today because Howie Roseman doesn't settle with this roster. He said, I know Nolan Smith's coming back, and we have Jalen Hunt, and Josh Uche has been solid this year. But guess what? We're bringing Brandon Graham back. We're trading for Jaelan Phillips. Jaelan Phillips, I can't believe how good he was today. But I guess you shouldn't be too surprised because this was a former first-round pick that's been heating up over the last couple of weeks, even when he was in Miami. And the great part about his ability to play this entire game today was that he was able to because he knows Vic Fangio. He's played in this system before. So Howie brought in a player that can help you immediately in a massive spot. Like, I don't want to downplay, even though the offense was extremely conservative, extremely frustrating today. I thought the coaching staff should have probably lost you that football game. Despite all that, this was such a massive win. Like, you went into Lambeau, which is such a difficult place to play, against a team that is one of the top 4 teams in the NFC from a record perspective that's battling you for the number 1 seed in the conference, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It's a revenge game for them. It's freezing cold over there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. There is no space to work with. The Packers defense is flying all over the ball. I mean, they have some rangy athletes on all 3 levels. For them to get this win, to pull this out, and to get to 7-2 with the tiebreaker stranglehold they have now in this conference is so massive. And to also see that this team can continue to win in different ways, whether it's by just the defense completely carrying you, or the run game, or the passing attack, or the coaches, special teams, the DNA, the identity, the makeup of this team is that no matter what the circumstance, the team they're playing, the environment, they find a way to win. That is why Howie Roseman built this team in the image of Alabama and Georgia. He built this team in the image of his quarterback's DNA, of his genetic makeup. That's why they're able to do this. So many teams would have went into that game, into that building, and found a way to lose. But the Eagles, they find a way to win. And this one, again, there's a lot of people to give credit to, but Howie Roseman's trade of Jaelan Phillips last week, I think is, like, that's the game ball. If I had a game ball to hand it to somebody in that locker room after the game, it would be Howie Roseman. And it wasn't just the defensive line. Like, again, winning with 4, look what that did for the coverage. I know the Packers were really beat up at receiver today, but, I mean, my gosh, can we talk about Quinyon Mitchell for a second? 7 targets today, just 2 catches allowed for 24 yards, a 41.4 passer rating allowed, 2 huge forced incompletions in the fourth quarter of a 1-score game. The way this guy, I was almost crying tears of joy to watch him mirror routes and stay in these players' hip pockets, get his hands in front of the receiver, get it on the ball. Imagine if this guy starts catching the football and making plays in the form of interceptions. He'll be the best cornerback in football. Like, he's having a first-team all-pro season. And I think he showed today, like, I said it on the show last week, he's the MVP of the defense. Jalen Carter is the best player on the defense, and so much revolves around him on the defensive line. And by the way, I thought he was incredible today as well. A couple big pass breakups in the first half. But when Quinyon Mitchell went down in the first half, I said, outside of like Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson, can you afford to lose a player less than Quinyon Mitchell based on what it would do to your defense? He has such a big responsibility of pretty much shadowing a team's top receiver week after week. And if he goes down, Cooper DeJean then has to play out of position. And then you have to have Keely Ringo and another backup corner out there, Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo, or one of them and Michael Carter or Jacorian Bennett. Like, Quinyon is so important. He needs to stay healthy down the stretch. He is so clutch, though. I mean, those plays in the fourth quarter are so underrated, and they'll go overlooked because they're not flashy. They're not interceptions. They're not sacks. They're not sexy stats that show up in the box score. But Quinyon Mitchell was unbelievable today. Again, Nakobe Dean, a couple massive plays, blitzing, including that strip sack in the second quarter. Some big-time open field tackles where I thought Josh Jacobs could have broke a play loose. The defense, this was the best defensive performance since Super Bowl 59. And I think it's a top 2, top 3 defensive performance in the Vic Fangio era. This game in general reminded me so much of that Ravens game last year, where it's just a rock fight, a playoff atmosphere against another contender on the road in a really tough environment, but they found a way to get the job done. And it shows you that no matter what the game is, whatever it calls for, they can do it. In January, it's going to be really cold in a lot of those games. You might have to go on the road if you're not the 1 seed, although it's getting close to being the Eagles are the 1 seed. If they can beat Detroit next week, I'm going to feel really good about that. But just to know that, hey, they can go into Lambeau and win that kind of game. And we already knew that. We confirmed it last year when they won a championship, right? But to get that constant reassurance is a great feeling. That's why you can be confident in thinking this team has a good chance, as good as anybody, of becoming a dynasty. What a huge win. Credit goes out to Howie Roseman, Vic Fangio, and that entire defense. But we got to talk about DeVonta Smith next. DeVonta Smith was the hero of the offense, and he willed that unit to a victory in the fourth quarter. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast, we are brought to you today by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's sad. Software is a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos that your software created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. And right now you can get 6 months for free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions do apply. Guys, today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a much bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets. All you got to do is win your first $5 bet. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Thanks as always for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. We are recapping a massive win for the Eagles, 10-7. Getting the win over Green Bay, over the Packers, does wonders for your chances of being the #1 seed in the NFC. And again, it was a frustrating performance on the offensive side of the football. A very conservative approach by Kevin Patullo. Nick Sirianni had some head-scratching decisions that we'll talk about. I mean, obviously, the elephant in the room, that 4th and 10 shot play to A.J. Brown, where you give the Packers the ball back at midfield, only down by a field goal, after making it seem like you're running out the clock and trying to get Green Bay to burn their timeouts. The logic of the coaching staff today was very head-scratching. Even Vic Fangio, after the Eagles go up 10-0 because of the DeVonta Smith touchdown, he acts like they're up by 17 and they can just milk clock like there's 5 minutes left. There's 10 minutes to go, and you're only up by 10 points, and you're playing like 50 yards off the ball. You let the Packers march all the way down the field and score to make it a 10-7 ball game. I thought they won today in spite of the coaches. They won because of Howie Roseman, his trade at the deadline for Jaelan Phillips, and his just insane pursuit of never letting this roster settle. Like, he can always improve it, and that was a huge reason you won today. But it was everybody on defense, by the way. I mean, Moro Ijoma calling out the inside zone run to Jacobs on the 4th and 1 stop. I mean, I thought Nolan Smith was really good in his debut today. Jalen Hunt continues to get better and better every single week. 2 sacks and a pick 6 in the last 3 games for Jalen. Let's talk, though, about DeVonta Smith. He was the one bright spot. I shouldn't say the lone bright spot. There were a couple, but he was the hero on offense. Like, this was a 2018 LeBron James performance for DeVonta, where he just said, I don't care if these penalties from the offensive line are killing us. I don't care if A.J. Brown can't get a single target in the second half. If Jalen Hurts is missing throws, overthrowing, underthrowing. I don't care if Kevin Patullo is calling maybe the worst game he's had all year long. I am going to drag us to points. I mean, that touchdown, that's what DeVonta Smith does. He's the most clutch receiver. I'm going to say it. I think he is the most clutch receiver in the NFL. Not just one of the most clutch players in the NFL. He is the most clutch player at his position in all of football. This is what happens all of the time. Whenever the Eagles need to make the play on offense, whether it's in Super Bowl 57, Super Bowl 59, whether it's in a big game late in the fourth quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs this year or last year against like the Jaguars, DeVonta Smith makes the play. For him to go up and high point that football that, by the way, I thought was underthrown by Jalen Hurts to bring that down. This is what he does. Give DeVonta Smith his flowers. He's going to be an all-pro by the end of the year. He is their true wide receiver one so far this year. He's been their best playmaker, and he's been a top 6-7 receiver in the NFL. For a guy that size, to be able to high point the football the way he does, the body control, I've never seen a player like him. He's so rare. For a guy that's like 180 pounds, he's my weight. He weighs a little bit more than me. To not get moved off his spot, to win at the catch point, to out-muscle these cornerbacks time and time again. Like, this is what he did. Go back and look at that catch against the Chiefs. Go back and look at some of those tough grabs in the playoffs last year in 2022. The one-handed grab against San Francisco in the NFC Championship. Like, what he did in Alabama in the national championship as a true freshman, catching the game winner in the national title. This is who Smitty has always been. And whenever push comes to shove, when the going gets tough, it just always feels like Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith make the play. And now I want to give a lot of credit to Saquon Barkley, too. I mean, that spin move on that check down that turned into a 25, 30-yard play to set up DeVonta Smith's touchdown was unbelievable. I thought Saquon had a really gritty, underrated performance today, and I thought he was pretty banged up. I don't think he's fully healthy from that groin injury that he suffered against the Giants 2 weeks ago. Got to give flowers to Saquon for setting that up with that incredible play. Again, tough footing on that grass, too, to pull off that spin move was unbelievable. Dallas Goedert made some really timely receptions on third down. Major clutch gene by the Eagles tight end. But it just, again, it always feels like when there has to be a play, it's Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith. This team's identity is their historically great clutch gene, and I said the same thing after the Chiefs win week 2. But this is why Howie Roseman built the team, like I said, in the image of Bama and Georgia. These guys never waver, even when things are not going right for 3.5 quarters. They find a way in the moment they have to find a way. Like, obviously, it'd be ideal if you could do that for 4 quarters every single week, but even in these kinds of games where it's just a dogfight and it's not your day and there's nothing you can do about it, they do something about it when it's like, okay, gut check time. You got to make the play now. It's now or never. And it's always these two. It's always the guys that, of course, were coached by Nick Saban. Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, they always deliver in the clutch. And I think you can make the argument in all of sports right now, this is the most clutch sports team in the Big Four. The NBA, the MLB, the NHL, the NFL, like, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. They do this over and over again. And it's not just against bad teams. Like, this was in Lambeau against the Green Bay Packers. They did this against Tampa Bay, in LA, in Kansas City. They've done it year after year. So I think that's something that Howie Roseman really, after 2020, took to heart about how he needs to change in building this roster is you need guys like this, big-time players in big-time games that do not choke. And these guys just don't choke. That's the difference between the Eagles and the Packers is what you just saw in the fourth quarter. It was the point I made on Friday's show. It's like even when, Jordan Love at times will have more dominant passing performances than Jalen Hurts. He'll put up more gaudy numbers, but in the fourth quarter of games, Jalen Hurts always makes the play, and it feels like Jordan Love always makes the mistake. It's why the Packers, I think, are more of a, 4-seed division winner, top wild card team in the NFC versus being a true 1-seed. I think they're a playoff team, not a Super Bowl contender, because they do this a lot. The variance in Green Bay is very sporadic. Like, they have major choker energy, whereas the Eagles, they never choke. They just don't. They always get the job done. And DeVonta Smith, I want to continue to give this guy his flowers. It wasn't just the touchdown. He had another really clutch third down conversion, 3rd and long, on a drive that was hopefully going to put the game away. We know it didn't, but DeVonta Smith did all he could. He got them at midfield, trying to get this team some points. He's having an unbelievable season, and A.J. Brown can't get involved, so it's all about Smitty. They need him moving forward. All right, guys, we'll wrap up the post-game show coming up next. 10-7, the final score. The Eagles take it over the Packers. What the hell happened to the Eagles coaching staff? We'll talk about it next.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
It really was awesome to see the Eagles win this kind of game today. I think it continues to show how special this football team is, and what we are witnessing is historic. Like, to see a team that can consistently win to this degree against these kind of great teams over and over again, no matter the situation. Like, if you have to win a 40-38 shootout where they have to throw the ball 40 times, they can do that. If they need to run the ball to win a game, they can do that. If they need to lean on their defense, they can do that. I think it's really special what we're witnessing, and today kind of continue to prove that. Like, this team, they're like Patriots level consistent as a winner. Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It always ends in a W, it feels like. That's the level of winning consistently that they're getting to. Like, they're getting to Patriots-Chiefs territory. Now, the rings have to build up, of course, to really be in that conversation, but they have New England Patriots vibes to them, right? Jalen Hurts kind of has that Brady mentality, and I think overall, like, this is a really special team, but at the same time, they shouldn't have to win like this as often as they do. And I do think today it was because of the coaches. Kevin Patullo, that was the worst play calling job I've seen all year, and he's had some really bad performances, but after 2 strong performances from Patullo against Minnesota and the Giants, where it felt like he finally figured out the identity of this offense being an under center play action team, this week, he does it a little bit in the first quarter and then just completely throws it out the window, completely abandons it. We're back to shotgun running back draws on 1st and 10, 2nd and 7 runs right up the gut that go nowhere. Conservative play calling on 3rd down where we're force-feeding the football to Will Shipley. There's still time on the clock in the first half. Only a few seconds left, but you have a couple timeouts. You have all these great weapons for a chance to maybe get in field goal range, and you just throw the ball away. I mean, for them to coach as scared as they do at times on offense with the weapons that they have, it really is infuriating. And I think Patullo kind of turned back into a pumpkin today. And that's really unfortunate because I was feeling really optimistic after the Minnesota game and after the Giants game. But I thought he was terrible today. I mean, I won't understand it. And I know he's a direct extension of Nick Sirianni, so a lot of this is on Nick too. And Nick Sirianni, what are we doing? Again, we got to talk about that 4th and 10 decision to go for it. Look, I would understand if you wanted to go for the first down and go for the kill shot if you threw the ball on first down, on second down on that drive, third down. But you ran the ball over and over again because it looked like you wanted to get Green Bay to kill their timeouts, and then you punt the ball, back them up on their own, 10, 7-yard line. They have to march down like 60 yards in 25 seconds to get a field goal to tie the game. I would understand. That's what I thought the blueprint was, and I agreed with it. But they had this weird middle ground where they didn't go for the kill shot early in the drive, but then they didn't punt after playing it conservative for 3 plays. Like, what are we doing? And then you call a go ball to A.J. Brown, who hasn't touched the football all game long. He's completely cold, and it looks disinterested at times. Although I'll give A.J. Brown credit. He didn't get the ball all game, and he blocked his butt off on that Saquon Barkley explosive reception down the left sideline. So I'll give him credit for that. But, that's the call you draw up? Is it because you were nervous A.J. Brown was going to, demand a trade at the end of the game if you didn't get him the ball? I mean, I won't understand it. That was a terrible performance by Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni. Now, it wasn't just on them. I thought Jalen Hurts missed some throws today for sure. He underthrew DeVonta Smith on a play that could have set up a field goal. I thought he missed Calcaterra, overthrew him, what could have been a touchdown. Jalen was pretty conservative today, didn't see the field all that well. He had A.J. Brown over the middle of the field in a big spot in the fourth quarter. But Jalen made the play when he had to. When it was time for Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni, and heck, even Vic Fangio on that second last drive, or on that scoring drive by Green Bay to put this game away, they just got way too conservative and just weird. They got weird. I didn't understand the logic to a lot of what they did today. And that's crazy considering they had so much time off. They had a bye week, and normally this coaching staff is really good at making the most of time off and looking prepared the following game. But, excuse me, this team did not look prepared today on offense. And yeah, the Packers are a great football team on defense. It was cold. The grass was in poor condition. So it's, again, and Jalen Hurts missed plays. It wasn't just on the coaching staff, but all of the pre-snap penalties as well that they suffered today, that's on coaching. Nick Sirianni is all about the small details. He's not calling plays. His job is to focus on those kinds of things to make this team better. And those penalties, time and time again today, shot themselves in the foot. They have to get better. And Patullo, go back to the under center play action looks. And what are you doing not targeting A.J. Brown outside of 2 times in the first quarter? He doesn't see the ball again until that deep shot on the final drive. If I'm A.J. Brown, you're damn right I'm posting on Instagram today. I think this is the end of A.J. Brown in Philadelphia at the end of this year. I really do. And I would understand. I hope he doesn't continue to post shady social media things during wins. But after a performance like today, considering his talent, he has every right to be like, this just isn't it, man. I mean, this is the exact kind of game that you use A.J. Brown. It's a game where there is no space because of how good the defense is playing on the opposite side. It's cold. A.J. Brown is a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver. That's one of the best contested catch wide receivers in the game. He's so good at making plays when a corner is just draped all over him and you draw nothing up for him. It just feels like there are no plays that, and again, maybe the ball won't go his way, even if it's designed for him to go his way. But it just feels like there are no plays that are meant to go to number 11. They're always meant to go to Saquon or to Goddard or to DeVonta. And those 3 are some of the best of the best at their position too. I think DeVonta Smith is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Truthfully. I think that Saquon Barkley is a top 3 running back in football. I think Dallas Goedert, you can make the argument, is a top 5 tight end in football. But A.J. Brown is a top 3 receiver in the NFL, and it's such a unique skill set that this kind of game, in this cold road environment, you use him for. And the fact that they did not use him at all, the fact that it feels like Kevin Patullo and Jalen Hurts don't know how to get him the football, moving forward is a little concerning. And it's concerning because I want, not just for the rest of this year, getting A.J. Brown the ball will help you win games this year, but I want A.J. Brown here long term. And winning will not be enough for him. And you can roll your eyes at that and say, well, then get rid of that diva. And you're totally justified in feeling that way, but I totally side with A.J. Brown in this moment. In this game, pop off, act however you want, even in a win. Like, to not be included in this game plan at all, when it's not like Green Bay has some Sauce Gardner level corner that's just going to shut them down. It's infuriating. So the coaches did not help you today. But let's put everything in a little neat bow. I do think there's more positives from this win than negatives. Like, to see this defense play that good, to look like the 2024 defense, it feels like they're about to take that second half leap like they did last year with the Jaelan Phillips trade. I really do feel like that was, again, the Jay Ajayi trade of 2017, the final missing piece to take this defense from really good to like top 10 to top 3. Like, I think they can be top 3 again now with the way that 4-man pass rush was humming for 4 quarters. Like, they had Jordan Love rattled. So to see that was really impressive. All 3 levels of the defense dominated. They look really deep now at every position. To see the clutch gene, to know that Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith and Saquon Barkley, when push comes to shove, find a way to get the job done on offense, that feels great. To know that you're 7-2, you've beaten every good team in the NFC basically and have the tiebreakers over them for the 1 seed, that feels incredible. They go on the road now, they go back home to play Detroit. And if you can get that win at 8-2, this is going to feel like 2024 again. I mean, it's unbelievable what this football team continues to do in the Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni era. And this is another impressive one that we'll remember for a really long time. Stock up, stock down tomorrow. Until then, enjoy this win. Thanks as always for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Thanks as always for downloading, watching, and listening. And let's go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.